I inquired about joining Isogenics as well in preparation for this
I
episode.
love this like really hands-on
I know.
research.
I know. I really wanted to, but it wasn't as easy as you think. Like you kind of do really have to give them money. Like I inquired about Isogenics and they're like, yeah, you have to buy, these are the like product packages you have to buy up front in order to get started. And I was like, nah, not about it. But the way they picture it, they pitch it to you is that you can use the products themselves yourself as well if you can't sell it. But it's like,
but like,
I don't want
if you have to buy like
$1,000
500 shakes, and like, are they good shakes?
One of the other sales points they use is like, you're saving money because you're not having to buy food. Because you're drinking the shakes.
What?
Yeah, I know. It's wild.
Because you're drinking shakes.
Yeah.
So you don't need a grocery.
Yeah, because the meal.
This is not a budgeting tip, just FYI. Welcome to Checks and Balances, The Takeover. This is Jess and Michaela back with another episode sponsored by Partners Life.
Today we're taking on pyramid schemes.
Okay, and scams, like financial scams. This is a juicy topic.
Yeah, and like, because I think the word pyramid scheme is thrown around a lot, but pyramid schemes are actually illegal. Like a real
if you
life
Google pyramid schemes, like just put in Google pyramid schemes, literally at the top it says pyramid schemes are illegal in New Zealand.
Yeah, which surprised me because I would use that in my everyday slang.
If you're talking about like Arbonne or something,
yes,
you'll probably call it a pyramid scheme.
Tupperware.
Yeah. Mary Kay. Do you remember the pink Cadillacs? I don't know. Was that a thing in New Zealand?
We did not have the pink Cadillacs.
Okay,
not that I
feel like I need to just briefly. I think everyone knows Mary Kay, original pyramid scheme, selling makeup. Anyways, in North America, if you were top performing, they would give you a pink Cadillac to drive around in.
It was pretty sick.
And so that was how you could spot the like high rolling Mary Kay ladies, was they were driving pink Cadillacs.
I'm obsessed with that. That's a bit of a vibe. Yeah, so I think we probably should break down what an actual pyramid scheme is, why they're illegal. But all very tied into this is financial scams. And, you know, I feel like we all know somebody who's been tied up in one of these one way or another, whether it's one of those clickbait scams that we see, whether it's selling Isogenics, whether it's, you know,
getting that hey girly message in your Facebook DMs.
Someone you haven't spoken to for 10 years.
Wants you to sell like, I don't know. There's so many things out there now.
There's a lot. And I think it all actually stems down to people want a silver bullet. They want to find a way.
Get rich quick.
Yeah, get rich quick. They want to find a way to financial success that sounds easier than the typical ways of getting there. And I think one of the main rules of thumb here is like if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Did you know... I actually thought this was kind of surprising, but 1 in 5 Kiwis above the age of 18 have been a victim of like a financial scam in New Zealand. Wow. This was a stat I found on Money Hub. Like that's actually quite a lot of people.
1 in 5?
Yeah.
I would have thought it, because it's over the age of 18, I sort of think of financial scams as targeting older people.
That's true.
Like much older people. Have you ever been scammed?
I've definitely had a few, like I've never fallen for a scam, but I've definitely gotten some weird phone calls or like, you know, and it's like sometimes you're almost like, this actually looks really legit. But I think if you have good like internet knowledge or like, and again, that probably means that you're younger, that something in your gut will tell you it's not quite right. But for the people that don't have those skills, like some things look really legit.
Oh, they really do. And it sort of scares me. Like the last few that we've had, I've been so close to believing it. Really? One of them, I don't know if you've had this one, but it's a text that comes through and says that you need to pay your toll road, like you've been on a toll road and you need to top up your account.
I haven't seen that one.
Sneaky one.
See, and that's so simple too.
So
like
simple.
Just a text.
And you would think like NZTA, oh yeah, they'd text me like telling me my account's overdue.
The other one I found was according to the MBIE, which I think is like Ministry of Business, and I'm not going to remember the rest. $198 million was lost to financial scams in 2023 in New Zealand. Wow. 198 million.
That's a lot of money.
That's crazy.
That's a lot of money that could have been put into legit stuff.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Which brings me to the common types of financial scams.
Cool. Let's run through.
I didn't realize that there's actually categories for these, but the FMA has like a categorized list of different types of scams and how they try and get you.
Wow. Okay. I'm super curious.
Okay, so the first one is called a boiler room scam. And this is basically those ones where they just like ring you up from like a fake office and they're like, boy, do we have an opportunity for you. Do I have a deal for you? Cold calls that are basically selling you investment funds like crypto or shares or foreign exchange things. But the investments either don't exist at all or they've way overpriced them so that you pay way more for it than you actually would.
These are absolutely rampant in the UK.
Really?
Like the moment you get a mobile phone number, your phone is ringing off the hook.
Really?
I don't know why, but yeah, they're all about the boiler room scams.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it says, the FMA says that these types of, like, they do generally have some type of office, but it's fake. But they do put out like media and brochures and have branding. However, it's like dodgy branding.
Okay, so they could appear quite legit.
They could appear legit. They might sound legit on the phone, but ultimately you're likely to not see any returns at all. And you probably won't hear back from them if you try and withdraw the funds that you've supposedly invested.
That is scary stuff.
The next one is Ponzi schemes. I feel I've heard this a lot, but I actually didn't really know what a Ponzi scheme was.
Like how to define it.
It's kind of like a pyramid scheme a little bit.
Yeah, the Netflix doco about Madoff, it's called, about Bernie Madoff. Orchestrated one of the biggest Ponzi schemes in Wall Street history. That is worth a watch.
So a Ponzi scheme, basically classic scam where the scammer takes money from one victim, takes money from a new victim, and uses the new victim's money to pay back the returns to the first victim.
Oh my gosh, that is what he did.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So
that's why they're able to keep it going for longer.
Yeah, because they just you just keep cycling it.
Yeah. It appears quite legit for quite a long
time. And
then
what the FMA website says is that this is very common in like close-knit circles. So like religious groups or like cultural groups, anywhere where you have like a large amount of people that all trust each other.
Wow.
Because you get people that just sort of keep running it in a circle and they're like, oh, I heard, so-and-so's doing this and it's super legit. And of course they trust you. So they're going to jump in on the good deal as well.
That is actually crazy. And that's scary because how is anybody to tell if it's a Ponzi scheme? Yeah. Maybe we'll get to that.
Well, so New Zealand's worst Ponzi scheme to date was run by David Ross of Ross Asset Management. More than 1,200 people were scammed out of $115 million. And I guess in 2013, they jailed him for 11 years.
11 years doesn't seem like a heck of a lot for $115 million, does it?
I also, and I didn't do any backup research on this, but I do wonder how many of those people got money back.
So true. I've never even heard of this.
I haven't either, but I'm not from here. So.
Yeah. Seems like a fair excuse.
I'd be curious to see how many people actually have heard of this person.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really scary. And for little old New Zealand, that's pretty major, right? Like that's quite a lot of money.
Also, 115 million out of, it says more than 1,200 people, but like I'm still assuming it's around the 1,200 number. Like that's a lot of funds out of such a small-ish group of people.
Yeah. It sounds like people's like retirement savings. Yeah.
Which is very common. There was also, and I don't know if this was actually a Ponzi scheme, but that woman in Australia that she jumped off a cliff or something after being found out for taking people's retirement funds.
Wasn't it like all her family and friends as well?
Yeah. That was dodgy.
Yeah, crazy.
And so these things still happen. Like this thing happened ages ago. But
and you would think in this day and age, it would be very, what I don't understand about these people is like, what do you think you're in? And it's when you watch the Madoff documentary on Netflix, you just think, what's your end game? Like, how do you think you're ever getting out of this cycle that you've put yourself in?
I wonder if they just go, you know what, I'm just going to live my absolute best scammer life and just in my head,
for as long as I can.
I know at some point this is all going to crumble and I'm going to jail.
What a stressful life to live. Goodness.
Okay, the next one is software/seminar/coaching scams. So the things that fall in this category are like you're given a chance to attend a super exclusive event where you like learn financial secrets and unlock financial freedom, or it's like an online training platform or something like that, and you need to pay money into it, and supposedly in return you will learn all the secrets of the financial universe.
I actually, in doing our research for this episode, I went down the path of joining one of these scams.
Ooh, tell me more.
Just to see what it was like, because you do see them pop up on Instagram from time to time.
Yeah.
And like we kind of know, like, ugh, scroll past. Now I've clicked on one, my algorithm's like latched on to all of these coaching
scams.
getting
inundated with scams.
Exactly. But it was really interesting. So they were advertising digital real estate, and that you could make near passive income.
What does that mean?
By selling digital real estate.
What is digital real estate?
Exactly. So anyway, I clicked on their link and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I filled out a form, and then they're like, okay, now you can watch our training video. It was 13 minutes. So I watched this training video, and they basically, what they do is create websites, and then they'll pick a small town in America and a trade of some sort. So there was like concrete mixing in some like middle of nowhere place, create a website for that, and then people will start to click on the website. They'll get leads through the website that are calling the phone number and filling out the form. Then they sell the website to an actual person who does that thing in that area, who pays them the money.
This sounds really evil.
For that website. It was really bizarre. And I was like, okay, that kind of sounds like it could work. And then they were like, okay, so you now know how to do it all, and you could go and do it by yourself, or you could do our training program and we'll teach you how to do it all in detail. And because it's like building your own websites and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, you don't need any experience to do this, da, da, da.
But how much were they charging you to get that extra
course? So I filled out the form. Right at the end of this next form that I filled out, it was like, why business owners are willing to pay $1 to $2 grand a month to rent your digital real estate. How to use AI to do 90% of the work for you. Replace your 9 to 5, blah, blah, blah. It goes on. And then, okay, so this is the last question. We only work with students who have sufficient startup capital. To start a digital assets portfolio requires capital for expenses, training, and software. What amount of capital do you have access to? And then in brackets, it says hundreds of students have started by using savings, credit cards, lines of credit, investors, etc.
Using credit cards or lines of credit.
I know. And then it gives you like options like how much capital do you have access to? And
so it doesn't even say like this is the fee. It's like, well, how much can you give us?
Exactly.
This is wild.
I know. And so this is just on Instagram.
Yeah.
On my daily scroll.
These are so common on Instagram and like TikTok, and it will be always like these like usually young guys.
They are young
and they
guys.
are like in a Ferrari or something, or
this
in
is
a private plane, and they're like, you can do this too. I made my first $5 million by the age of 25, and I'll teach you how. But then in their social clips, they never actually mention what they're doing. It's just like them outside a Ferrari, like, thumbs up, look how great my life is. And then it's something like this that's like super dodgy.
So crazy. It says cousins generated over $500K in 2023 from digital real estate.
Weird.
I know.
Okay, well, this actually is interesting because it leads into a story that somebody shared with me a while ago when I said that we were doing an episode about like financial scams. So this story comes from Dani Pime. So on Instagram, she's Danubia Pime. She's a financial advisor and kind of like friend of the business. But so Dani's originally from Brazil, and so this happened to her when she first moved to New Zealand and got residency. So have you heard of Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so this sounds like a really legitimate, like in my head, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a super legitimate, like Barefoot Investor.
I was about to say, I put that in that camp. Yeah.
Right? Yep. Okay, so I'll tell you this story. So Dani moved to New Zealand. She got her residency, and like Dani is a property guru, property pro. So she was very excited to start like buying property in New Zealand. And she stumbled upon a free Rich Dad education workshop that was being hosted in Auckland. So this is put on by the same, like by the Rich Dad, Poor Dad brand. She signed up to do this free education workshop because she was a fan of the book and it made sense. And after the free workshop, at the end, they promoted a 3-day intensive seminar that was going to cost about $3,000. So she signed up to go to the 3-day intensive seminar as well, because at the end, they put all this pressure on the attendees to like, hurry up, there's only 5 spots left, you've got to sign up, and made it like really urgent and pressuring.
I'm presuming as well, the way they must do it is on the first day, do they give them a lot of information but leave out a lot of the main, like,
I would assume so, yeah.
Like leave them on a bit of a cliffhanger, and then you've got to spend
so you
money
feel
to
like
get more?
you need exactly.
Must
So
do.
Danny signed up. She paid the $3,000 because she thought like she's been saving so much, she's been working so hard, and this is like what's going to get her to the next level. So she paid the $3,000 for the next seminar. First 2 days of the seminar, she said she did learn some good lessons. Mainly that the formula for a good investment strategy was just the BRRRR, buy, renovate, release equity, repeat. We all know how that works.
Yep.
Maybe you don't, but I don't know.
That's another episode.
That's another episode. But then at the end of this seminar, they offered another crazy, irresistible, limited time thing you could sign up for. But this time, $47,000 was the total NZD.
Right.
So basically what it was is, once again, you had to sign up, like it was a limited time offer. You had to sign up very quickly. And the options were you could choose a New Zealand property coaching program or a UK one. So either you're buying in the UK or you're buying in New Zealand, but they will coach you through the whole process. However, Rich Dad Poor Dad wants $47,000 to give you the keys to unlock financial freedom. So Danny paid the $10,000 deposit to get her spot in the program. And the next day she was at the bank and she had to ask for a personal loan. That wasn't quite going to get her there. She had to get a credit card and she paid the deposit towards this program. She didn't get the money back and she received very limited training information. She did not unlock the secrets of, whatever it makes to go from inexperienced to an experienced investor. And shortly after she had this experience, Rich Dad Poor Dad actually liquidated their education program in New Zealand. So they don't actually do it here anymore. And heaps of people didn't get their money back, including Danny.
Wow. Okay.
Crazy.
Before we move on, we talk all the time about planning and growing our wealth, but protecting that wealth is just as important. That's why having the right insurance in place can help when life goes unexpectedly.
And that's why this episode is brought to you by Partners Life, a New Zealand-operated, award-winning insurance provider with over 300,000 Kiwis insured and 89% of claims paid.
Partners Life understand that having some insurance is better than having no insurance. They have flexible and personalized solutions for any budget or situation.
Check out their website in our show notes below.
So was it a case of she paid the deposit and then just never really heard back?
So she did say that she did receive like some coaching and some training materials, but it was nowhere near what was promised. And in the end, like she does own properties now. If you check out her Instagram, she's a really cool journey, but this seminar that she paid all this money for was not what got her there. And the tools that it gave her were like very lackluster.
Wow. Okay. So she was burned in the process.
She was burned.
Yeah.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
That's crazy. And yeah, because that's definitely something that I think a lot of people would have heard of and sounds quite legit. I wonder, like, I haven't looked into this at all, but I wonder if their intention was different at the start and then it's ended up being a terrible thing.
It's
and they've
interesting because like when she told me this, and this is kind of like a condensed version, she has a longer version that she's shared publicly, but I was like, this is weird because Rich Dad Poor Dad to me was like a reputable brand. So I went Googling and it seems like this is the experience of a lot of people, not just in New Zealand, but like all over the world, that they sign up and they pay all this money and they just get basically the bare minimum of information that you could probably find on Google.
Right. I'm really curious to know like what more they're offering in each level of these courses, like what more information is there, like
it almost sounded
from the book
like
to the course
to me that they tell you there's going to be much more information, which is what makes you sign up, but then you've already paid them the money and you've already signed up, so like what's to stop them from actually just not giving you all that information?
It's really sad, isn't it? It reminds me of Scientology. Isn't Scientology a bit about this? You've got levels and you've got to pay for the levels and then you keep unlocking
the alien.
Yeah. The alien at the end.
We're not going to get into Scientology.
Again, a different episode.
But yeah, super interesting. And then the last one of scams is romance scams. romance scams are so juicy. Like I feel very bad for people that fall for these, but
and you can see how it happens.
It's very wild, yeah. Everyone wants to be loved.
Yeah, exactly. Like loneliness and wanting company is a pretty massive motivator for people,
so
right?
Basically, a romance scam, if you haven't heard of it before, the scammer pretends to be in a relationship with someone online in order to scam them out of money. So they basically are catfishing you. The pictures you're seeing are probably not them. Most likely they live overseas, so of course they can never meet you in person, and they just won't stop asking you for money, whether it's directly or just being like, oh, I really want this thing and I just can't afford it because I'm so broke. And then you, who's in love with them, is obviously like, oh, well, don't worry, I'll pay for it.
Let me treat you.
Yeah, I'll send you money. And this is so common, especially with older people, and there's some young thing overseas that is showering them with attention, so of course they're gonna shower them with money right back.
Yeah, and again, this comes right back to, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. If you or somebody who's maybe involved in one of these things, I'd say the first step is to very strongly encourage them to get on video calls.
Yes,
make sure they're actually seeing this person.
Yeah,
and actually in this day and age, AI is going to become a real problem.
Yeah, that's true.
You can do the deep fakes and the AI videos and stuff. So even that might not save you, but really encourage people to try and get in proper contact with this, not just emails or messages.
Yeah. It was actually the other night I was having dinner with my in-laws, and my father-in-law was telling this story about someone he used to work with that fell for one of these romance scams.
Wow.
And so, of course, he was sending this woman, she lived overseas, all this money, and he really, really wanted to meet her in person. But of course, she kept coming up with reasons why she couldn't fly to New Zealand. And finally, he was like, I'll pay for everything. And she was like, okay, I'll come to New Zealand. She died on the way to the airport. She didn't die, but
I don't mean to laugh.
Basically, what happened was her family contacted him and was like, I'm so sorry, but she died on the way to the airport. She's not coming to New Zealand.
Seems far too convenient.
Then, a week later, the family calls again and says, actually, she's not dead, but she is really unwell and we need you to send money for her treatment.
It's actually, I feel really bad.
It's sad. I shouldn't.
It's sad,
laugh,
but it's comically
but
ridiculous.
he kept sending the money, and
wow.
What my father-in-law was saying was it actually became quite an issue, in the workplace, because this guy was constantly so panicked, and it's an overwhelming situation to be in. But when someone's so deep into something like that, you can't just talk sense into them.
Nah, yeah, to them it is completely real, and we are laughing because it just seems silly, but it's not silly to when you're deep in it. And it's a really sad one. Watch Catfish. That's a good show.
I have seen that.
That's That's a good show that will show you all sorts of examples of things like this happening all the time.
Basically, main signs of financial scams to watch out for are when someone keeps asking you for money, or they're claiming that you've profited off something, but they're not asking, giving you the ability to withdraw any funds, or they're not responding to you. You've got no information in writing, or they're pressuring you to get your friends and family involved, and they're putting pressure on you to act in a time crunch. These are all really big signs that something's fishy. And like you said, if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah.
Okay, so pyramid schemes, because we talked about that at the intro to this episode. But as we said in the beginning, actual pyramid schemes are blatantly illegal.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the companies that we know as in our heads being pyramid schemes, like Arbonne, Mary Kay, Isogenics, Beachbody, which is going by
I don't know that one.
Bodhi now. They're in New Zealand as Bodhi, but I think overseas it's
what is it?
Beach.
Is it supplement?
It's similar like Isogenics. It's just
a lot of these are supplementy or
health related.
Yeah.
So
beauty.
We know them in our heads as pyramid schemes, but actually there's been a lot of rebranding over the years. So at some point they were called network marketing companies because you're expanding your network. And I think at the minute a lot of them are called multi-level market. Actually, sorry, I think it was multi-level marketing first, and now it's network marketing.
That. Yeah, I have a funny story about this. I had one night we had a barbecue at my dad's place when we first got back from UK, and all my Wellington friends met there, and we found ourselves talking about pyramid schemes for 2 hours. It was hilarious.
So it's us right now.
Yeah, I know. And one of my friends, she had been at the gym and this guy had approached her and was just really friendly and like, I don't think she was interested in him necessarily to go on a date or anything. Just like, oh, this guy wants to be mates or whatever. Asked her out for a coffee and she's like, cool, yeah, that'd be nice. So they went out for a coffee and she quickly realized into this coffee date that he was pitching a network marketing scheme. And she kind of stopped him. She's really funny. She like kind of stopped him and was like, can I just stop you there? Like, is this a pyramid scheme? And he was like, no, like tried to explain. He's like, no.
And then he drew a triangle?
Yeah.
He didn't.
He got out a piece of paper and was like drawing on the piece of paper to try and explain the concept. And it was like forming a sideways funnel. And she was like, yeah, but look. And she just like turned it on his side and was like, See the pyramid there? And
no, it's a funnel.
It's a funnel. It's a sideways funnel instead of a pyramid.
That's so
which
funny.
I found so funny, like just the way she
So even though like so many of these companies that you think of, they're like they always have a product. There's always something there that's being sold.
Yeah.
Except the main way you can identify these are that the most money to be made is not at all from selling the product. It's actually from recruiting people under you.
Right.
I.e. the pyramid.
Right.
So even though you might be selling like shakes or supplements or whatever, your actual goal is just to recruit more people,
more sellers
underneath you.
Yeah, got it.
And
it should be said that not all of the, like, just because this is how these products market themselves and it's not a necessarily good thing, the products themselves are not always bad.
No, that's so true. Yeah.
You know, like the products themselves, like Tupperware. Think about Tupperware.
Yeah, we love Tupperware.
Until it went. We loved it. Absolutely.
Like a lot of these companies that there's nothing like bad about the actual product, but it's like it's the model of the company that's problematic.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is these ones generally they prey on people that are like time poor and also cash poor.
Yeah.
And they're trying to find a way to like have a side hustle or make extra money, but not have to go to an extra job per se. It's like something that they're marketing to people as like, you can just do this on the side or you can do this from home. Like
flexibly.
Oh, you're a single mom? Like, don't worry. You can make thousands and thousands of dollars just from your living room on your own time.
Yeah.
Which is how you get those people that are messaging all 500 people on their contacts list. Like, hey, girly, have you heard of doTERRA?
Yeah. Totally.
And yeah, so the primary motivation of a pyramid scheme is like as many participants as possible and that you make money by recruiting others. And like a lot of the time, similar to a financial scam, they want you to like put in money up front. So either you're investing money to attend like a program so that you're up to speed to sell these products, or you have to buy your own inventory.
Yes.
So I don't know about you, but I actually, there was one, I don't know if it was popular in New Zealand, but it was called Unique Makeup Products. It's literally was just the most garbage makeup, and it was really popular in, I'd say like, I don't know, like 2013.
Right.
And I know people that tried to sign up for it and you had to buy all this inventory up front. And now they've just got tubs of like crappy makeup sitting in their garage because they wanted to leave the, company, but you have to buy so much product and they can't sell it because it's not good.
Yeah.
And they've wasted all this money and it's just literally just sitting there.
That's crazy. I inquired about joining Isogenics as well in preparation for this episode.
I love this like really hands-on research.
I know. I really wanted to, but it wasn't as easy as you think. Like you kind of do really have to give them money. Like I inquired about Isogenics and they're like, yeah, you have to buy, these are the like product packages you have to buy up front in order to get started. And I was like, nah, not about it. But the way they picture it, they pitch it to you is that you can use the products themselves yourself as well if you can't sell it. But it's like, I don't want
if you have to buy like 500 shakes and like, are they good shakes?
One of the other sales points they use is like, you're saving money because you're not having to buy food. Because you're drinking the shakes.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, I know. It's wild.
Because you're drinking shakes.
Yeah.
So you don't need a grocery shop.
Yeah. Yeah, because the meal
This is not a budgeting tip, just FYI.
That was one of the sales points they used.
Okay, wait, quickly, before we like get into the wrap up of this, I really need to out you for something.
Oh, no. don't go down the Thermomix route.
We need to talk about Thermomix.
I have a Thermomix, and it was a gift, a very generous gift from my in-laws. It is a network marketing scheme.
Okay, and for anyone that doesn't know, because I'd never heard of it, can you just, it's going to sound like you're selling it, but can you just explain what a Thermomix is?
You know I can't explain it without sounding like I'm selling it. And I'm not selling it.
Talks about this, it sounds like she's trying to sell it.
It sounds like too good to be true, but it's actually true, this one. Yeah, here I go. So it's a machine that you can just put stuff in and it makes your dinner for you. So you go, and anyone that has a Thermomix will understand the hype, but like you do all your meal planning, your shopping lists, and your like, it preps and cooks meals for you. It's insane. And all the recipes are on there. It's like a little computer.
It looks like, because
looks like a blender.
Before I met Jess and I found out that she is well deep in the Thermomix trenches, I have another friend who was also gifted one as a wedding gift, and I saw it on her counter, and like it literally looks like a witch's brew pot or something. I feel like with the little stirring
little cauldron.
Thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is amazing. Like it is life-changing. We have absolutely loved it. But I did notice, because we went to the food show a couple of weeks ago and we went over to the stall, and like I think the third thing she said, because we were getting a taster of course, and like the third thing she said was like, oh, do you want to do a demo? Like, which means have people around. Yeah. I was like, no thanks, that's okay. I'm like just enjoying my own.
It's like, because there is so many I'll call them network marketing schemes.
Yeah.
Where the product is good enough to get people in the room.
Yeah.
And get them involved in wanting to sell it. And I've seen locally in my like community Facebook page, people posting being like, oh, I'm hosting a Thermomix cooking class if anyone wants to come by. But it's always on like a day of the week where anyone that works a normal 9 to 5 wouldn't be able to attend.
Right.
So it's like directly targeting, I'd say, like stay-at-home moms, older people, or stay-at-home parents in general. And yeah, and I think it's funny because every time you talk about it, it sounds like the biggest pitch of all time.
Yeah, I love the Thermomix though. This is what I mean. Like, just because it's an MLM doesn't actually make the product a bad thing. But I think our point to this is the bad part of it is that people are being put in positions where they're putting themselves out financially in order to buy into these things.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I'm not actually sure if Thermomix does that necessarily. I don't know, but from what I've Isogenics, for instance, people are putting themselves out of pocket in order to buy into this job, and like, how many 9 to 5 jobs do you start? And they're like, oh, you've actually got to spend.
Yeah, you need to pay $3,000 if you want to work here. Actually.
Imagine if I started at Lighthouse and they're like, yeah, but you've got to buy your own desk and computer and chair and that before you can start.
Like, you also need to take this training program that's $10,000.
yeah, exactly. It's just exactly. So those are all red flags to look out for, right? And it may work out well for you. You might be one of the ones who are lucky enough to be high enough in the pyramid to do pretty well.
Driving the pink Cadillac,
and people do well out of these things. That's not the point. The point is just know what you're getting yourself into. Be aware of the red flags, and if you can see somebody that's kind of stuck in this cycle, and reaching out to people, like, try not to buy into it yourself or encourage that.
It also, just on that quickly, when like people that have family members that join these kinds of things, it's so easy to fall into like, oh, you feel bad, so you're gonna buy the products off of them. But like, don't feel obligated. Like, you don't have to encourage them by like buying the
if it's not something that you actually want.
Yeah,
like, I would actually not be without the Thermomix now.
Definitely. All right. The last bit basically of this is we want to give you some resources, because if you've been the victim of a financial scam or you think you've encountered a financial scam, it's really important to report these in New Zealand because they are running rampant. It's more and more common, and they get more and more in-depth and
sophisticated,
and believable. Sophisticated. Every day. So basically, the first place you can report scams is the Department of Internal Affairs. So they have a large list of scams that you can check. So I think this is a scam. You can look it up there. It'll tell you if it is or not. And you can report scams to them, including text messages, by forwarding the text messages to 7726.
Oh, that's
which
cool.
actually stands for spam, apparently.
Nice.
The next one is Consumer Protection's Scam Watch program. They publish a list of different scam alerts, and you can report scams on their website.
It might be an idea for us to put these links in the comments.
Yes, we'll do that.
Yeah.
The lovely Georgia will do that.
She will.
And then the very last one is, please contact the FMA if the scam relates to an illegal investment offer or scheme, because super illegal, like selling fake investments, get the FMA onto that. And you can give them your contact details to make sure they keep you up to date with what's happening with that.
And for people who don't know, the FMA is the regulator of the financial services in New Zealand. It stands for the Financial Markets Authority. And so everyone's accountable to them that works in financial services, right from, Lighthouse to ANZ to anyone else. So they should be all over this stuff. So yeah, any information you can give to them to help is great. Awesome. So we'll wrap up there. Hopefully this has been interesting, useful, and yeah, let us know if you have any other interesting stories like this that we can share with our listeners, because obviously it's beneficial to everybody to learn and get across this stuff and make sure we're not getting scammed out of our money. Thanks so much to Partners Life for sponsoring this episode. Don't forget to like, review, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.